And we're question.
Recording in progress. You're going to ask me a question.
Yes. What is the circle of excellence?
What is the circle of excellence? Well,
Excellent question.
Yes.
let me circle around that. If I were if I were working with either one of you as a client, I might say at a certain point, um, there is a very simple technique that I can teach you that it can be used in numerous settings, and it's based on. And I always like to explain to my clients the idea of what an anchor is before we even start, because they don't know what an anchor is. So I would say, well, what is an anchor? And an anchor is uh, anything that is perceptible that we associate with a particular state of being, right? So it can be a visual anchor, it can be an auditory anchor, it can be a sound, it can be a sight, it can be a touch. So we use anchors. We anchor things anyway. It's a way that we like. People will say a couple's been together and they'll say, "Oh, listen, they're playing our favorite song," or somebody, even not a couple, but somebody who hears a song from childhood, and it will suddenly evoke childlike feelings. Right? It'll take you right back immediately. So a sound can do that. The classic Pavlovian conditioning, where Pavlov worked with the dogs to use a bell. There's that is a classic example of anchoring, where
I'm doing dog training and we have a clicker.
a clicker. Exactly. Same idea. So Pavlov was experimenting with these dogs, and he had them tied up, and they wouldn't eat for a while, so they were hungry. And then he would put out a bowl of food out of their reach, and then ring a bell, and the dogs would salivate, and then they'd let them eat. So he did this for 21 days. And some people say that that's the amount of time that it takes to establish a habit, that perhaps it's a certain neurological pathway is grooved in enough that if by repetition after 21 days. So this was the pattern: food, bell, saliva, food, bell, saliva, food, bell, saliva, food, bell, saliva, 21 days. 22nd day, no food. Had the dogs tied up hungry, rang the bell, guess what happened? They salivated.
I don't like that experiment.
Well,
Did he feed the dogs afterwards?
I said, right
I
after
hope
they
so.
salivated, I know you missed that. You were so busy being upset about them not being fed. I said, as soon as he rang the bell and they salivated, they were fed.
Yeah, but then you said the 22nd day they just salivated. You didn't say
No.
they were fed. I didn't hear
No,
you
they
say
didn't
that.
have the food as a visual first.
There was no
okay.
food.
There was
They
no
were
food.
testing to see if the anchor had been established. That it's not a conscious thing. Dog is not thinking, oh, there's the dinner bell. It's time for dinner. It's an unconscious association that when they hear the bell, we don't think, oh, I'm going to salivate. It just happens, right? If I asked you to produce saliva, you'd go, I don't know how to do that.
Mhm.
But if you walked into a place where there was a freshly baked bread smell coming out of the oven, or your favorite dish, you'd salivate.
The thought
That's
of
a
that made me
condition.
salivate.
Huh?
Thought of freshly baked bread just
The
made me
thought of
salivate.
And this is another example that's often used in demonstrating the power of suggestion and imagination. You know this, Deb, where they describe like it's a really hot day. It's a really hot day, and you go to the refrigerator and you take out some ice cubes and you put them in a glass, and then you fill it with water, and then you take a lemon and you cut the lemon and you squeeze the lemon in, and then you lick some of the drops off of your lemon juice.
But now I'm
juice.
salivating.
That's exactly right. That's what happens. just the description of that, your imagination will fire off the salivation process. So it doesn't even have to be something that's happening in real time. It can be a memory, it can be an anchor. But the classic case there was that after 21 days, the stimulus that provided the response of salivating, which was originally the food, had been associated with the anchor of the bell. So you were able to remove the actual original stimulus, just ring the bell, and the dogs would salivate. So that's an
Okay,
example
alright.
of an anchor, right? Often, like, people will have good luck charms, right?
Mm.
My lucky rabbit's foot, right? And I have to have that, or my special crystal whenever I'm
Or
going.
the dirty sock. There's so many athletes that have either dirty socks or dirty underwear or something that
Michael-
they've worn at every winning game.
Michael Jordan, the most famous, perhaps the greatest basketball player ever, wore underneath his shorts, he wore his high school shorts as an anchor to that he had overcome being a mediocre player and become in high school and become a really, really good player. And so he
Who
wore
was that, Peter?
Michael Jordan.
Really? Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan, yeah. So that was an anchor for him of his excellence, of his greatness. So there's that idea of, that we can have something that if we have our magic wand, if we have our lucky rabbit's foot, if we have our power breakfast with our spirulina shake, regardless of whether or not it actually has the nutritional value, it becomes a ritual that we have anchored that if I take all my vitamins and I do this, I'm going to be able to leap tall mountains in a single bound. I will be in that state of excellence, which we all desire to be in. And so wouldn't it be wonderful, like, sometimes we're just in that great state where we feel confident, where we feel we can do whatever we set our minds to. I mean, it's hard to predict. It just happens. You wake up one morning and you get out of bed and go, this is going to be a really good day.
Yeah, I've done that.
Then there are other days that are the opposite. You wake up and you feel funky. You get up, as they say, on the wrong side of the bed, and you walk to the bathroom to pee and you stub your toe. And you're making coffee and you spill a little hot water. And it's just like you say, it's going to be one of those days, right? So wouldn't it be wonderful if we had something that we could do, a little ritual, an anchor that we could use to get into a state of excellence or a peak performance state. And at this point, what I'll do to further give my patient an idea of what I'm talking about is I'm going to read them this description from this book. That page is in the back of your book. And it's a reprint from this newsletter that Richard Zarrow and I put out in spring of 1988. I was only
You
12
already
years
graduated
old.
high school.
I was 12 years old.
I
at
saw
the time,
Iron Maiden.
right? So it's, and as I'm doing this, I'm making a suggestion. As they're listening to this, hopefully they're following along and they're imagining this. They're following along and they're letting their imagination say, being on a roll and how to stay that way. We have all experienced it at some time during our lives, that feeling of magic, good luck, or an uncanny sense of well-being. It may have lasted moments, hours, days, weeks, months, or more. Business people call it being on a roll. Athletes call it the white moment, playing in a trance, letting go. Psychologists call it self-actualization or peak experiences. Religious mystics refer to it as ecstasy, joyful communion, or the bliss of enlightenment. Dr. Charles Garfield, team member of NASA's historic Apollo moon landing and president of Performance Sciences Institute in Berkeley, California, Now, this lends credibility to it. I'm quoting a scientist who was involved with NASA. This is not some mumbo jumbo. Compiled hundreds of descriptions of this state from athletes and business people. He came up with a fascinating description of this state of excellence. All at once, now this is a compilation. He took a sentence from one person, a sentence from another. All at once, it seems as though everything is working for me. There is no sense of needing to do anything. My actions unfold as they do in pleasant dreams. Though my body may be putting out great efforts, I have no thoughts about what I should do or how I should do it. Everything is happening automatically, as though I have tuned myself in on a radio beam that directs my nervous system so that it works in synchronization with everything in and around me. I feel insulated from all distractions. Time disappears. And even though I know the speed of actions taking place around me, I feel I have all the time I need to respond accurately and well. I am so completely involved in the action that there is not even a question of confidence or the lack of it. There are no issues such as worries about failure or feelings of fatigue. Even such feelings as momentary fear appear to serve me, changing automatically into positive forces. I am acutely aware of colors, sounds, the presence of people around me, the feeling of being a source of power and energy in this moment in time. It is a trance-like state. And I feel as though the usual barriers between me and the outside world have been pulled away. I'm completely at one with myself and the physical world with which I am interacting. It is a wonderful feeling, crisp, full of joy, more real than the everyday world, going very deep. So that's the setup, right? First explaining what an anchor is, and then giving suggestion like this is what we're going for. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you had a little switch that you could throw that would suddenly put you into that state of excellence, that can-do place, huh?
I'll take that.
You'll take that, right. And the good news is I have a technique to offer it to you. Step right up, only $9.99. But wait, there's more. Order now. I get a, yes, a free set of tuning forks. No. So, and I'll often talk about athletes because athletes are the most superstitious people. And they do have, they have like, they'll have like, you'll see a baseball player before they get up right in there. They're tugging on their crotch and they're tapping their shoulder and they're rubbing their back down, right? So they have all these things. And or somebody will have like a lucky tie, their power tie that they put on for men before they go to a big meeting. If I wear this tie, you know, I'm plugged in. So I, as a tennis player, some years ago, I had gotten a new racket and I was very, very happy with it. I was hitting really well with it. And that became my anchor. Like, that's it. If I have this tennis racket, I'm okay. And I entered a tournament. And I was warming up that day before the tournament. I broke a string.
Oh.
I'm screwed. There goes my lucky rabbit's foot. It's missing. There goes my power tie that's got a big stain on it, right? So if we anchor our state to something outside of ourselves, dirty sock, oh, she washed, put it in the laundry, or it disappeared, whatever it is, if it's outside of ourselves, it's susceptible to damage or loss, right? So that's why it is suggested in this exercise that I ask you to choose a place somewhere on your body that you can touch inconspicuously in public whenever you want to get yourself in that state. And you want to distinguish this so that your neurology recognizes that this is not an ordinary thing. Like if you always go like this, or like this, or like this, or like that, that's probably not going to work because it's already mixed in with a lot of other experiences. You want something specific and unique to this. So one person said, "Oh, I'm going to tug on my earlobe." That's not anything I usually do. So that's going to be my anchor. That's going. Another person said, "I'm going to place my hand right over my heart." What I was encouraged to do when I worked with Richard, who taught this to me, he suggested that I use the in these the some of the main
check-
beats in acupuncture, right? To press on this spot right here with your thumb.
Large intestine 4.
Thank you.
Yeah, LI4, that's the one. Good
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. So just not to hurt, but just to, like, that's not something I usually do, right? So
Oh.
when I'm going to use that,
I think maybe Gia and I might do that kind of on a regular basis, it sounds like.
say that again. What?
I think Gia and I sound like we would be doing that. We already do that
You
one
already do
a
that.
lot.
It's an important massage point.
It is.
It's like a major thing.
Gia's a massage therapist.
And so is
Yeah,
Gina.
so she definitely knows this one.
Right. I know because we do barter. That's why I said this is so it's complicated here what we're doing here, right? And I don't know what this one.
I
is
love
gonna-
it.
She's going to give me something, but I don't know what yet.
Let's figure that
And then
out.
maybe her firstborn. And you know when I say that, all people go, "Please take them."
Oh no, he's a keeper.
Yeah,
He's a keeper.
No. But you know, I like to. I love teaching, and so if people schedules or finances don't really accommodate for a full 100-hour, $1,600 training that leads to certification, I say, well, where there's a will, there's a way. There's always a way that I can pass on some of this information to you in exchange for something. You know, I mean, Erickson used to say, "Bring me something," you know, and then people would bring him purple telephones and purple, you know, dressing gowns.
I have a
Because that's the
question,
only color
Peter.
he could see.
I have a
What?
question.
Yes.
Because this is such a powerful, we're anchoring in such a powerful state, like our peak, I feel awesome. I'm on top of the world. Everything is great. I have no, I'm feeling courageous and brave and everything's great. So maybe it would be good to use as an anchor one of these points, like especially like kidney 27, right?
I was just
Take
thinking-
27 for fear.
Fine. As long as
Wouldn't that be good?
something, it has to be something that you don't do a lot of the time, so that your body, your neurology recognizes it as this has been established as the anchor for the state of excellence.
Well, all right. I
Um,
might have to just feel my belly button.
It also has to be something that you can't. I mean, you feel welcome to press on those points if you want, but I'm suggesting you may want
Yeah,
to do
well, I do EFT a lot, so that
something
might not,
else that
that-
is, you know,
I'd put that out of the picture. Okay.
I
like
have a question.
yes.
So, this isn't something I do, but could it be like something that involves more than just like touching your fingers like that, or should it be like one motion, one gesture?
If you're a strict NLP person, they say if you press on that spot, don't go an inch over. It's got to be that exact, precise spot. I don't know if that's orthodox heresy or whatever. Like, does it really matter if the intention is there, if you hit the exact spot or not? It's not quite the same as putting in a needle for acupuncture, where if you are a half inch off, you won't hit the spot. But this is more about less about that than more about marking out to your body and your mind and body. I've installed this switch, and so something like that. The litmus test is, does it work?
Does it work for you?
Does it work?
Exactly.
Right. So try it and see if it works. But you don't want anything too elaborate. Right? You want something that you can do quickly and easily in a public setting, like if you need to. Like if you suddenly, you're in a class and you're nervous about, can't imagine anybody being this, but nervous about being called up in front of the class to demonstrate something.
I used to black out when I got called to the front.
Well, that's an extreme example of nervousness.
Well, I can imagine it very
Right?
well, as
Yeah.
a matter of fact.
That takes you right out of the picture, doesn't it? Right? So let's say that you want to do it, but you're not so confident because in the past you've had less than excellent experiences with it. And now you're getting ready to do it, and you say, but this is different now because I have a way of getting myself into that state where I feel absolutely confident. I feel, yes, I can do this. I got this. Right? So, now, if I were going to give the longer version of this, I would start talking about holographic hypnosis, which was something that Richard developed, and he would present to all of his clients. And I learned to do this, which is to say that, okay.
I learned this with Jeanette anytime.
With
Jeanette, when I was pregnant for the
Netta.
holograph, yeah.
Yeah, Jeanette, right. Turns out that a person I trained in hypnosis many, many years ago is a
OB nurse.
OB nurse, and
She teaches birthing classes.
she teaches birthing classes, and I have not been in touch with her. I see her every several years when my daughter was giving birth 9 years ago to my first grandson. We went over to the hospital, and Jeanette was there working in the hospital, and she said, "Don't worry, I got it. I'll take care. I'll look after your daughter," which was very nice. But when I met Gina, which was only a couple months ago, we were talking. Turns out that when she was giving birth or pregnant, she was being coached by this same person, and so
Small world.
she had gone over the holographic. Right. So according to this, your brain takes 24 holographic pictures per second. Now, a hologram is a three-dimensional picture, right? And it's stored, each one of them stores not just a visual, three-dimensional, but it has color, sound, smell, taste in it. And we can access these really, really quickly. And if I were going to build up to this, because I usually don't do this in the first session, I would first be explaining to the person in the prior session about the nature of mind and how we hypnotize ourselves all the time and others by the pictures in our mind. So I'll demonstrate with you a very basic thing before we get to Circle of Excellence, which is, because we know that you're a good hypnotic subject, and we know that you go into trance easily. Don't we?
Yes.
This happens to be true, but even if it wasn't, it would be a trick, right? To use that kind of language. So, so we have all these holographic pictures, right? And so I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and get a picture of an apple. And then put that picture aside, get a picture of a ball. And then put that picture aside, get a picture of a tree. And then put that picture aside, get a picture of your car. Put that picture aside, get a picture of the outside of your high school. Put that picture aside, get a picture of your favorite teacher in grade school. Put that picture aside, get a picture of the inside of your bedroom when you were 4 or 5 years old. Okay, now put that aside, open your eyes, and come back. Were you able to get all or most of those pictures? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So what kind of ball did you see?
Like a pool, beach ball.
Beach ball. If I had 8 people, each one would go into their files of all those millions and millions and billions of holographic pictures and pull one out. Could be a baseball, could be a tennis ball, could be a soccer ball, could be a beach ball, right? We don't know. But you were able to get it very, very quickly, right? We have a huge archive, a huge library, but we go in and we find one, right?
Yeah.
Now, and I was going through them really, really quickly, right? Like, put that aside, because I didn't want you to get too hung up on any one. But now, we're going to do it a little bit differently. Okay, the second part of this demonstration is get a picture in your mind of a time when you were sad or depressed. Got one? All right, put that aside. Get a picture, a different picture in your mind of a moment when you were really happy, really blissful, feeling great, having a wonderful time. Got one? Okay, good. Now close your eyes and go to the first picture, sad or depressing moment, and begin to run a movie of it, only until you begin to feel the beginnings of some of those feelings that were associated with that sad or depressing picture. And let me know as soon as you start to feel a little bit of that. Okay, open your eyes, take a deep breath, let it out, shake your body a little bit. Right, okay. Now, here's your reward. Close your eyes and go to that blissful moment and run a movie of that in your mind. See what you were seeing, hear what you're hearing, until you begin to feel what you were feeling there. Let me know when you've got that. Okay. Now, I'm going to establish an anchor here. Whenever you want to go back to that lovely little feeling associated with that memory, all you have to do is press on that spot on your right above your left kneecap. Okay, now you can open your eyes. So that's an example of demonstrating the power of the pictures in our mind, that they can, when we put our attention on them, that's what activates them, right? They're kind of dormant, they're neutral. We just look at it, it's a tree, it's a car, it's inside my bedroom. But when we focus on them, put the power of our attention on them, which is what I asked you to do by running a movie of it, it begins to bring back all the feelings, some of the feelings connected with it, the state that was connected. So a memory can be an anchor, right? People often get hung up in a memory loop of trauma, and they're remembering bad memories, and every time they do, they're re-traumatizing themselves, right? So we don't want to go there. We want to go towards the other thing, which is establishing an anchor of excellence. So I gave you that description, right? And now I'm going to demonstrate with you. And then after we finish this, and you've got a recording of this whole thing, and when we go on, you can practice by immediately doing it with Gina.
Okay.
Right? That's what they say, right? Like, watch one, teach one. What?
Yeah.
Learn, what?
Watch one, do one, teach one, or
Right.
something
Watch
like
one.
that.
Yeah. Watch one, do one, teach one. That's supposedly the sequence for mastering something. First, you're observing someone else do it. Then you do it yourself. And then you teach it to someone else. So if you can do that, then you kind of got it under your belt. Okay, so let's push the chairs aside. Right. Put your notebook down, and I'm going to actually roll up the rug here because we're going to dance. Not really.
I thought you were going to have us do the Lomi Lomi dance.
No. I want to make sure that we're in.
I love these colors that you're wearing, Peter.
You know why? Because
They're Dharma colors.
Because I'm ready.
Oh, I like it.
All right. Let's see. That's pretty good. Okay. So you have your anchor?
Mental or physical? Or both?
The place where you're going to, on your body, that you're going to touch or press.
I'm going to use this one.
Okay. So if you're standing and you're asked to suddenly like do something, will you be able to do that in easily and gracefully?
Possibly.
Okay. Well, it's it's a little bit of a stretch, but okay. So
you know what? I'll do. Nah, I'm always doing that.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Do you ever stroke your chin?
Yeah.
You ever pick your nose? No, never.
No, not really. The tissue.
Delete that from the recording.
Just with the tissue.
Get off again. All right. All right. You find something that works for you, okay? And
All right.
And also, for people who are auditory, you can add in a word,
Okay.
a phrase or a word that you say if you're alone out loud or if you're in public to yourself inside, like excellent
Great.
or fantastic or right on or whatever. So okay. So now the next thing I'm going to ask you to imagine that there's a circle here in front of you, right there.
Okay.
You see that circle?
Yeah.
You can. So you see, you're already hallucinating. There's no circle there.
Well, it's in my head. It's in my head. It's in my head. It's my invisible circle.
I'm fucking with you. All right.
okay.
All right.
It's all right. It's invisible.
But yes, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name categories when you have been in a state of excellence or peak performance state.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you, like I did with Gina, to get a picture of a time when you're in a state of excellence in humor. Okay? Like time when either you were very funny or you were watching a really funny movie or you were laughing so hard you thought you were going to,
Okay.
fall over. Okay. So, and when you get that picture, what you're going to do is you're going to step into the circle, close your eyes, touch your anchor, wherever it is, and run a movie of it briefly
Okay.
in your mind. Doesn't take long, 5, 10, 12 seconds. See what you're seeing, hear what you're hearing until you begin to feel what you were feeling. Okay? All right, so let's start out with that one because that's an easy one. State of excellence or peak performance in humor. Okay? Got one? Step into the circle, set your anchor. Good. And run a movie of that. See what you're seeing, hear what you're hearing, feel what you're feeling. Good. Okay. Okay, let go. Step back out, open your eyes. Time when you're in a state of excellence or peak performance in communication. Time when either you really understood what somebody else was trying to communicate or you found that you were able to communicate very clearly something. Good. All right, step into the circle, close your eyes, run a movie of that, set your anchor. Make it real. See what you're seeing. Hear what you're hearing. Evoke the feeling. Okay? Good. Step out. Time when you're in a state of excellence or peak performance in healing.
Okay.
All right? You are a healer, right?
I'm just trying to pick one.
All right. Well,
Wow.
I know. There's
So
really
many.
thousands, but just pick one that comes to mind. First one that comes to mind.
Okay.
All
Got
right.
it.
Good. Step into the circle. Set the anchor. Run a movie of that. See what you're seeing, hear what you're hearing, feel what you're feeling. There's a phrase that you're using in your mind, you can use that as well. No, okay. Let go, step back. Peak performance or state of excellence in sex or romance. First kiss, crush on somebody.
Making your babies.
Okay.
Well, if it doesn't come easily, we'll skip that category.
All right.
All right?
Let's move on.
Okay. That's an important thing to do when you're doing this. If someone goes, I can't get one, you move. You don't want them to focus on what they're not able to do. You want to focus on what they've got. So moving right along,
Okay.
peak performance or state of excellence in religion or spirituality.
Okay.
Good.
Got it.
Step into the circle. Set the anchor. See what you're seeing, hear what you're hearing, feel what you were feeling. Run a movie of that. Okay. Good. Let go. Step out. Let's see. What else? Have you ever won an award or recognition? That's a nice smile there. Okay. So remember that moment. Okay. Step into the circle. Set the anchor, and remember that good feeling, what it looked like, what it felt like, what it sounded like when you were being acknowledged in that way. Good. Okay. You can step out now. Time when you faced an obstacle and successfully overcame it.
Got it.
Okay, good. Step into the circle, set the anchor, run a movie of that, see what you're seeing, hear what you're hearing, feel what you're feeling. Good. Um, and so I could go on. There are a number of categories, state of excellence or peak performance in dance or athletics or movement or compassion or, business or whatever. You just pick lots of categories, and there's a list of them in the page that describes how to do this. Okay, so that's the whole exercise. Now you can have a seat again for the moment,
Thank
and
you.
we're just going to review this. So
All right.
I've shown this. By the way, how are you feeling right now?
I feel fine.
Right. I mean, it's rare that we do this. That we stack up. We're stacking anchors here. We're building on like one after another. You feel like a great communicator, like a healer, like a success in life, whatever else.
Expert.
Whatever else, right? A spiritual person, whatever, that. So, and by accessing those memories one after another, usually people feel pretty good. They're starting to live in their like excellence, in their competency, right?
Oh, okay.
So, they said one of the things that distinguished Erickson's approach from other therapists at the time was that most of them were using a pathology-oriented model, and his was a competency-oriented, centered model. He's like,
Positive psychology.
what do you do? What? Oh, you have a phobia. Wow, don't you do that well? Could you explain to me how you do that? It's a different spin. So having done that, I say now, when you want to be in that state, you don't have to think of all those different memories. That's all been stored in there already. All you need to do is three things. One, set your intention. Second, change your posture. Like we were doing it in an exaggerated way here, stepping into a circle. But let's say I'm sitting at a conference table and I need to make my presentation next, or whatever it is. I'm sitting at a side of the tennis court and I'm about to go out and play for the championship of the club, right? So I'm sitting there and I set my intention and I change my posture, right? Nobody else around knows what I'm doing. It just looks like something anyone would do, but I know that I've just straightened my back and taken a deep breath and let it out. So set your intention, change your posture slightly, and fire off the anchor. Those are the three steps. And each time that you notice yourself in a state of excellence, naturally, anchor it, add it into that. Say, oh yeah, body, here, remember this. I just did this really well. Remember what that feels like. So that's basically it. Any questions?
I don't think so. I like this version again. Seeing how you did it again,
It resonates.
I like this version the best that I've seen.
Take it and steal it because I stole it from Richard and he probably stole it from somebody else, right? So
Richard Bandler.
Richard Zarrow.
Oh, Richard Zarrow.
Richard Zarrow, who studied with John Grinder, and he was my original mentor, and brought me into the field and brainwashed me. I mean, trained me, and all right.
Yeah.
So we have a recording of this, and now I think I should stop recording. Bye.